The idea was first thought about when I was at Big Camp 2008. I was talking to Rowan and we were talking about the importance of leaders in our schools and what we were doing for them. And I guess we were talking about the fact that lots of the leadership opportunities we had were not actually in the area of spiritual leadership. And we started to talk about the possibility of doing something together in our education system as schools. And the idea really grew from there.
I think in an Adventist school, particularly in an Adventist school where you have a low Adventist student ratio, you have so many other kids that are coming into the school with their particular frames of reference or worldviews on life and all the rest of it. It's really important for us as a system to be very intentional about the types of leaders that we're developing. We don't want them just to be people who can have a group of followers. We want to make sure that they're leading people in the right direction. And for me, the most significant part of this whole weekend is trying to instill into the student leaders the significance of spiritual leadership, for them to own the vision of Adventist education, to recognise it as something of high value, and to see themselves as being part of the structure which drives that forward in the school. And that's them understanding that as student leaders, irrespective of where they've come from, if they're going to take on that role within our schools, they need to be part of the mission of bringing people into relationship with Christ.
Somebody once told me that values weren't caught, they were taught, and I think it's exactly the same with leadership. I mean, we have huge expectations of our kids, but if we don't actually give them some guidelines or some parameters within to work, how can we ever hold them responsible for something that they didn't actually go and learn? And leadership camps like this are just fantastic to teach kids responsibility and the consequences of good and bad choices, and it's been a wonderful time for us.
Our aims were to provide quality, distinctively Adventist leadership training, to provide opportunity for students to share ideas of leadership, to spiritually nurture our student leaders, and to value add to student leadership programs in each individual school.
I was surprised at how many of them, when I asked them to describe what a leader is and does, they talked about service first and foremost. And I hope that they take that with them. I hope they take that into their lives, that they see leadership as not so much power or privilege, but responsibility and opportunity to serve.
The kids connected with Mark because he's real. He lives his Christianity. He says what he believes. He's not afraid to actually say something that is a little bit shocking to the kids, but he can do it because he can back it up. He spoke to the kids about leaders in the Bible and the mistakes they made, and yet they still were able to find the resilience within themselves to go on and become some of our greatest leaders.
There was one thing one of the speakers said about being a manager versus being a leader. And I work, like my parents are managers in business, and then me being a leader here, you do see the differences in leading and management and trying to take the initiative and not just tell people what to do.
I've learned a lot about listening actually. Like the sales seminar today, it was really good. It said that the strongest form of love is listening to people, and that really inspired me because it was a very good quote, I think.
I have learnt that it takes a leader to stand up and say what they believe for others to follow. You can't just go through life and attend a school and not say anything and expect people to follow you. You have to be involved and care about other people actively, not just passively.
Well, in one of the activities we did yesterday actually,
our group talked about self-respect and respect for, others and that kind of thing in society. And even if it was just making peer support groups or young women or young guys groups and stuff like that, to teach them about self-respect, self-worth, that kind of stuff, because so many people of our generation don't have high self-esteem or anything like that. So that's something that I really want to change.
I think I've just been inspired to go and change things and try and make things for the best and help others.
Well, I constantly learn that leaders make mistakes, and it's really driven it home this weekend. It's just that, hey, I'm not perfect, I'm a young person, and it's just giving me different, so you could say, ammunition to take back to my school and use for the benefit of my peers and my teachers as well, that, hey, I can make a difference still. I see it as being spiritual and behavioural. Like, as a spiritual leader, I've got to set an example and show God through the way I act and the way I treat others around the school. And it's just an amazing feeling when, through the way I act, I see a person change and give their heart to God. So it's just an amazing feeling to have when you see like your best mates who you've been out to the parties with, pretty much in the church with you, just want to change their lives.
I'm passionate about it because I don't think we're doing enough for the spiritual leadership, or in fact the spiritual nurture of students in our schools, full stop. I think we get too focused on being a school instead of being a place of special character. And I think nationally we have to address that, otherwise we'll become just like your Catholic schools, your Anglican schools, and just be another private school. And leadership is just one of those components. Leadership, if we're going to train kids in leadership, then let's train them in being a spiritual leader, not just a leader.